Hey, Sunshine. How are you tonight? Look at who we have joining us for Motivational Moment.
Hello.
Tamra, T's by T. Woo woo! Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
So, we are so glad to have you all here with us tonight. And if you're missing the live, you will be able to catch this wonderful replay. So, we're not going to take up too much of your time, but tonight is December the 15th. And if you all have been following along, you know that every night since December the 1st, we have been reading from 365 Days of Prayer for Depression and Anxiety. So I know I go over this, but just for people who have never tuned in, this is just a time of year where we're supposed to be full of joy and happiness. But a lot of times depression sets in. And right now, with everyone being so isolated and in the house, depression is real. And just being in an uproar with everything changing and with the pandemic and with the COVID-19, all this stuff mixed in together, it causes anxiety. So we just have to take a moment, which is what we're doing right now. We're breathing in and we're breathing out. We're relaxing. We're relaxing as we read the prayer for tonight. So Tamara and I are going to do this together. I'm going to start. She's going to chime in after that, and then I'll end it. So December the 5th is Show Me. Magnify the marvels of your mercy to all who seek you. Make your pure one wonderful to me, like you do for those who turn aside to hide themselves in you. And that is Psalm 17:7. Yes. Okay, Tam.
Hello. There is no safer place to find myself than in your heart. God, when I hide myself in you, your beauty surrounds me. Your mercy is a covering to all who come to you. I cannot stay on the outside of your love when you rush quickly to meet me as I approach you. I will see your goodness as I spend time soaking in your presence. It is pure life to my thirsty soul. Every lack I find within myself is filled in the outflow of your mercy. You are so good. As I gaze upon you, your kindness is exemplified in my heart.
Great God, you are so abundant in mercy. Let me see more of your glory than I've ever seen before. Your goodness surrounds me. Of that, I'm sure. Give me eyes to see you all around me, and encourage my heart to hope as I hide myself in your love. So, Tamara,
Mhm.
out of that reading, and we hope that you enjoyed that reading, but out of that reading, what stood out to you most? And if you're watching, tell us what stood out to you most as we discuss what stood out for us in this particular passage.
Well, for me, it was the first sentence. There is no safer place to find myself than in your heart. God, when I hide myself in you, your beauty surrounds me. That's just the safest place that anybody can be is in the presence of God because he hides you and he comforts you and he has compassion and forgiveness for you and he shows you new mercies every day. So that's what really stood out to me because I could feel the the safety of him when as I read that. I could imagine myself being in his heart, and being in
Mm-hmm.
that safe place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's good. And so for me, I think the ending, but it kind of you know how they say when you write something, you end with kind of like what you begin with, you
Mhm.
reiterate it. So I think the ending is also similar to what you're saying because it says, I gotta push these glasses up because I need some more. See, these are not the bifocals, so I have to push them
Okay.
up sometimes. It says, "Let me see more of your glory than I've ever seen before." So, like, I know so often I'll say, "I want my future, you know, to be better than my latter." And it's
Mhm.
because I have great expectations for the future because so many things have happened. And not to say they're not going to happen in the future, but you as an adult, you have an authority. Like, I'm not going to allow the same things and people to treat me the same way that they did in the past. They're not going to be able to do that going forward.
Mhm.
So, and I know that I say that so often because of my past, and
Mhm.
um, I want I want to see His glory more than I have before, and I need to see it with this journey that I'm walking. Um, it's not the easiest, and nobody
Mhm.
promised that it was going to be easy. But at the same time, I think we are smart enough to know that everyone is not going to support us.
Yeah.
Everyone is not going to jump on the Celena bandwagon and be like, you go, girl. And I'm
Mhm.
not expecting them to. The
Mhm.
people who, first of all, the Lord knows, first of all, and
Yes.
that's all that matters.
Mhm.
But as humans, we do
Mhm.
care about certain people, and we
Mhm.
don't want them to doubt us. And so
Yeah.
the people that know me and the people that love me and the people that care
Mhm.
about me, they support me. And
Yeah.
that's really all that matters to me
Mhm.
is that those people understand my journey. They understand the passion that's on the inside of me that I never thought would be there to say, hey, I'm now an advocate, and I'm an advocate for younger children. I'm an advocate for adults. I'm an advocate for older women. I
Mhm.
the little shy girl in the corner that never had anything to say all of a sudden has become bold, and I may not always be able to speak up for myself, but
Mhm.
I'm better at speaking up for someone else.
Mhm.
And you do not have the right to violate anyone. You do not
Mhm.
have the right to I'm sorry, you do not have the right to trespass. There's boundaries here that we didn't have before. We didn't know that, hey, I can say no. We didn't understand that, hey, I can walk away. I do not have to take this. I'm better than this. You know, I'm more valuable, and I know that I'm worthy. And it took a while for me to even think that I was worthy
Mhm.
of the goodness, and because I live with so much guilt and so much shame.
Yeah.
And so that part really just stood out to me because I have this desire to see more of His glory than I've ever seen before, and to know that your goodness surrounds me. Of that, I'm sure. Give me eyes to see you all around me. So even when these natural eyes don't see, I need for the spiritual eyes to see Him all around me. Because, you know,
Mhm.
sometimes I'd be like, what,
Mhm. Mhm.
hello, you know, I kind of need you right now. But He is all around, and He encourages my heart to hope. And that's what has kept me here
Mhm.
is hope. There's been times that I felt hopeless, but I've grabbed on and I've held on like my life depended on it because it did. So to give me a heart to hope as I hide myself in your love. So my big mouth gonna let you finish off if there's something that you want to chime in based on what I said or that came
Okay.
to your mind.
Well, what came to my mind was when you were saying, you used to be that little shy girl, without a voice. That voice was always in you. It's almost like, let me tell you, I got a little, um, I always try to associate stuff with, with, what do they call it? Ideologies or, um, I want to compare things, but I was thinking about Simba on Lion King. When he was a little baby and then he grew up to be a lion. At first he needed somebody to protect him, you know. But when his father died, he didn't have anybody to protect him. So he had to grow up. And like you were saying, when you grow up and you become an adult, then you feel like I have that empowerment and I have that voice now that I can say, no, you can't do this. Or no, you can't do this for somebody else that does not have the voice anymore, or somebody that hadn't matured and got to that place where they can put their foot down and say, no, this is it. It stops here. So it's always good to like you said, you want he gives us eyes to see, but sometimes our visions get clouded. It's like, you see with your eyes wide shut. So, like I said, you've always had that voice inside of you. It just comes out when it's time, and it was time because people needed your voice. People need to hear what you have to say. So that's all I wanted to say.
And and I feel like I'm not saying that you're not right, but I was so shy for so long. And I don't know, maybe it was a result of the abuse that caused
Mhm.
me to be just a person to internalize. And they'd always say she's so quiet, but I guess I didn't know what to say. I'm like, maybe if I opened up my mouth, all kinds of stuff would have started like boo, boo, boo,
Mhm.
boo, boo. I would have just been regurgitating it all at one
Mhm.
time and would not have known how to stop, which is kind of like where I am today. So, but I feel like I'm a bigger girl today.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, here's Pooja. Let's see what she's saying. Yes, especially during this time. What you mean, Pooja? This time, as in so much going on. I'm sorry, Aletha, your professional name. So, but yeah, I'm just not really sure of what took so long, and I know people will say that because I've heard it so often when people come forth, the naysayers would say, what took so long? And I think that's what keeps you silent. And,
Mhm.
just knowing that God is always around you, hopefully it will give someone the courage to speak up sooner, to put a stop to things, not even just abuse, but anything that's not right when it comes to you. And just like we were talking tonight about success, that's different for everybody. So
Mhm.
offenses vary from person to person. One
Mhm.
what might offend you may not offend me. So whatever that is, we need to establish boundaries for other people in our lives, and just maintain healthy relationships. So I was
Mhm.
telling you, I think I want to do like a webinar or something on
Mhm.
rebuilding relationships here in the near future.
And
So
yeah, you said relationships are about respect. We all have to respect each other's boundaries. Like you said, what may be offensive to somebody may not be offensive to somebody else, but we all have to respect the relationships um that we come across in our lives. So yeah,
mhm. Mhm.
I'm waiting on Poochie to tell us what she was talking about.
Well,
Or
she
what
said
part?
yes when I said, "Do you mean especially in times just like this?" And she said yes. So, um another thing that is causing abuse to rise is the fact that people are inside.
Mm-hmm.
People are stressed about money. People are stressed about the pandemic. People are stressed about, we were already stressed before that. And now this just adds an additional amount of stress to people. So if they already had a tendency to abuse, whether it's verbal, physical, or
Mm-hmm.
any other type of abuse, it probably has just been on the rise.
And I used to think about that a lot during the pandemic when, um, when we were first on the stay home order, and I used to. feel so much, I don't know, um so much concern in my heart, because I felt like, some kids, it may be their only outlet to go to school, or their only safe place, or the only time of the day that they can eat, or that they won't be abused or mistreated.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like, that was probably so much stress on people, like you were saying. And you just never know how many kids that did make it out, because they was stuck in a bad place for so long, and like
Mm-hmm.
you said, that stress added on to the person that is the abuser, because now I have to look at this child all day long,
Mm-hmm.
or this woman, or I'm quarantined. I mean, I'm stuck in the house with somebody that I don't like, so I was like, I'm glad that it was just me, the cat, and the
And
dog.
the dog.
Yeah, because I can put them up and be okay. But yeah, it's just a sad place to be during this time. Some people don't have, the only outlet they have is in society, you know,
School and work and mm-hmm.
here, and that's the only way that they have to get out of
And
the
to cope.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been good. It seems like Miss Janice, she said, hello, hello, beautiful queens.
Hi, Miss
She said
Jen.
it makes sense. Tamara,
Mm,
she said it makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we got this lioness with her voice now, and we just hope
Ooh, girl.
we just hope that people hear.
Well, they hear and they act. See, it's the
Mhm.
difference. They can hear and let it go in one ear and out
Yeah.
the other, and then don't make a move, don't, no change, stay in abusive relationships, choose the mate over the children,
Mhm.
choose the family member over the child.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that still just keeps replaying in my mind that lady who told me that her mom just basically dismissed what she had said and said, was more concerned about the relative because
Than
it
her.
was a family member than the daughter. Never even asked, "Are you okay?" Not once did she ask about her child. Just don't you mention it again, and that
Yeah.
was going to be it.
Yeah. And that's so
So,
people want to silence. They want to silence the victim, and that's the
mhm.
problem.
And that is the problem because it's reoccurring, and most of the victims, because at the time they're a victim, at the time I was a victim. I'm now victorious because I'm no longer living in that guilt and shame. But they are probably aware of other people that it's happened to. So that adds to your guilt and shame when you know that there's been either your younger siblings
Mm-hmm.
or your younger cousins that fell victim to those same perpetrators and you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So that's also heartbreaking. Um, thank y'all. Thank y'all. A lot of children get dismissed because of family. It's the truth. And
Mm-hmm.
so that those same people continue to do what they do because they're being protected. And so, it's just left up to us to stop it. I mean, the people that abused us, they may or may not be living, but we need to start paying attention to other children
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and try to get them to safety. And the sad part about that is sometimes you go other places and the same things are taking place in those homes as well.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Put it in the chat, Poochie. What do you think we can do to make a difference? Janice, what do you think that we can do to make a difference? Because it's not just one person.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what did Janice say? Victimization is oftentimes perpetrated by the very people who are supposed to protect children. That
Yeah.
is exactly what we're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This lady told me she delivered her child to her abuser for years and did not know. And you
And
think,
you have to
go ahead.
pay attention to, a lot of times I think people don't want to feel that guilt of putting your child in a situation that you may find out about after it's happened, and then sometimes you put those blinders up, like you don't want to be at fault. A lot of parents sometimes have, I believe, have not protected a child because they don't want to be the ones that feel like they're at fault, or they don't want to be the one to take the blunt force or the blame for putting that child in that situation. But it's not their fault if they find out about it and they do something about it. The fault
Mm-hmm.
comes in when you don't do anything about it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's just like, remember the movie, the TD Jakes movie. That movie was so true. The mom never admitted to it because she didn't want to, she knew it was happening, but she didn't want to be the blind. She didn't want to take responsibility, but it wasn't her fault initially. She just made a bad choice of who her kids were around,
Mm-hmm.
but she could have changed the situation by admitting that it was happening and then changing her situation. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's just sometimes it's a hard place for the parent too, when you don't know that that's happening to your child. So you just have to be mindful who your kids are around, or who it's signs there. It's
It's
signs.
signs.
you know
Mm-hmm.
Kids, if they're your kids, your kids. It's a sign. You just have to pay attention, or want
If
to.
you're paying attention, yes, if you're paying attention. And sometimes we're so busy
Mm-hmm.
trying, we either had them young, so we're
Mm-hmm.
still so busy trying to figure out our own self or live our own life, or chase behind something that's not any good for us, that we miss those signs. And then we start blaming other things. Oh, they're just hanging around some bad children, or oh,
Yeah.
they just in the room being antisocial. We make up all sorts of
All
things
kind of.
versus doing what Poochie said, Aletha, talk about it and ask questions.
Mm,
And sometimes kids are going to say, they're going to deny it because parents have said so often in front of the children, which should not be discussed. But, oh, I wish somebody would put their hands on my child because I'm going to go to jail, or,
yeah.
I'm going to do this. And so the
Mm,
child gets afraid that, oh, if I say something, I'm going to cause a
mama to
ruckus.
go.
I'm going to cause confusion. I'm going to go to
Mm,
jail. She's going to
mm-hmm.
kill whoever. And so we have to also keep that in mind whenever we're telling our children that, and that, you know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
leaving you here. You better listen to what so and so say, because when I get back, if you didn't behave and do what they told you to do, I'm going to whoop you, or I'm
Get
going to do this. So let's see what they saying. Most people who overlook abuse have been abused and didn't have the protection they needed as a child. Yeah. Oh wait, I missed Pooches. Ask your children's questions. Have conversations with them. Try to understand why they are acting out or changing.
you. Mm-hmm.
Have an open floor, good, bad, or ugly. Girl,
Yeah.
this in this situation, I don't really want to be right, but I've lived this,
Mm-hmm.
and just have had things that you know doesn't make any sense. Parents who have served need counseling so that they can heal themselves and be available for children in every capacity. That's true, but sometimes that's kind of late in life, and by then your children are grown and
Mm-hmm.
they've went through that brutal process with you, when you don't get help. Because I know that I've started and then I stopped. And I don't know why I was never really consistent with it. I think because I was trying to, a single parent, I'm always having to take off from work, The therapist is never open after 5. It was always, I got to leave, and they want to see you once or twice a week because they see how broken you are. And I didn't have anybody really to encourage me to go because no one knew. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just suffering in silence. And I would go and think, this ain't doing anything. But
Yeah.
it takes time and it's a process. And I didn't give it time. I thought if I went and I told these people, that I would just automatically be
You.
okay. And it didn't work that way because it was so deep. And it was reoccurring.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, just like losing weight, you didn't gain it overnight, so you're not going to get rid of it overnight. And with that sort of thing, it didn't happen once and twice or two, 3 times. It was reoccurring. And so it's going to take time. Just
Mm-hmm.
like now, this is taking time. This is not easy. And people look at me and they say, well, you get on there and you make it look easy. You don't even have a clue. You don't even have a clue because it's not easy. Just being on live itself is not easy. And then with this sensitive topic, it's definitely not easy. But I'm determined to try to make it through, no matter if my nerves start flipping in my stomach. And then if I try to back out, I have people like Aletha that's like, oh, you ain't about to quit now. I'm like,
Girl.
nobody would notice. Nobody would notice if I did, but she's like, no, you started this, you keep doing it because everyone that's close to me, they know how desperately I want to be completely free,
Mm-hmm.
completely free. Because I have drugged this garbage way too long. And what really gets me emotional is when I think about how it affected my children more so than me.
Mm-hmm.
For a season, I was concerned about how it had damaged me. But
Yeah.
because of you and you and you and you and you, my children have had to deal with a broken parent that they did not deserve. So, if for no other reason, I'm going to speak up for them and their children
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because that's who I'll talk up for. My children might not talk up for myself, but I'm going to talk up for them. And I wish I would have said something a long time ago. But let's see what we got going on. Girl, we got some comments tonight, Tamara.
I know. I see.
Let's see. You said that's good. Okay, let me put yours up there first. That's good. Go on, Tamara. You on
I
live. You on live and commenting.
know,
You know
right?
how to work it, girl. You know how to work it. So let's see. No matter how hard it is, just listen to the adult children so they won't feel empty and hopeless. So yeah, even if they're adult children coming to you, that is so right. We've got to listen and not be beating them up saying, well, why didn't you tell me a long time ago? Because immediately when they tell you, you're gonna feel some type of way. You're gonna feel angry, you're gonna feel hurt, you're gonna feel disappointed, all kinds of emotions when your adult children come to you and confess, I'm so sorry that I've been holding this information. So let's see. You're right. It's a process that many people can't take advantage of for various reasons. Yeah, that's a true girl.
Yeah.
That's a true statement right there. It's a process that there's some days that I remember not being on a live, being in the bed with my head up underneath the cover, eating me a Snickers bar or something, just as content and just like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to think about it. And I did not write about it because I was so afraid someone would find it. Um, but it didn't take the thoughts away. Like the lady that was on the live with me a few weeks ago, she's right. It's in there, you just blocked it out. Your mind just did such a good job of trying to block it out. And then with me not wanting to write it down in fear of someone finding it,
Mm-hmm.
that was even another way of not dealing with it and not processing it. So all this that you're seeing unfold, it's like the process. And whoo, It
Yes.
is nothing nice. I mean, literally, I kind of be like, is this my job, Jesus? Because I don't remember applying for this one. I don't remember applying for this job.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Oh, look at Poochie. I'm not gonna let you quit.
That's right. Don't let her quit.
So that's why we have to continue what we're doing. Someone is learning how to make better choices because of the things that we share. Yes, 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 yes. Hello there, Heron Drive Entertainment, coming to check in on us. We're doing our motivational moment. It went longer than a moment because we just then got all caught up. It wasn't on purpose. Tamara ready to go to bed. We've been on live for 4 hours.
No, it's it's going on 6 hours probably.
We've been on live for 4 hours already with Chandra Foray, Washington.
Yes, tired.
Oh, Lord. We love her if we don't get fired. We might get fired.
We are moonlighting right now.
She loves Jesus too. She not going to fire us.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, ma'am, you have to go back and hurt them. Wait, what? Yes, ma'am, you. Wait, what you saying, Lolita? You got me reading over here.
She's probably saying you
She probably
want
saying
to.
you want to go back and hurt the ones that hurt your baby or babies, but all you can do is listen and cry out to God in silence. Well, we don't want to cry out in silence, just silence anymore. You
Mm-mm.
know, we done shed so many tears. I mean, I got buckets and buckets of tears, but we don't want to do that anymore. We want to go to him in silence, but we want to take some action and stop some of this stuff. Stop the generational curses, like Miss Janice said, and just strip that rug completely back to hide what all we've been sweeping up underneath it all these years, letting
Mm-hmm.
people get away with things that they shouldn't. Depression is real. See,
It
this is
is.
what we was reading. This is what we're reading right here, right now, because I know that depression is real. Whether anybody wants to accept it or not, they'll say, oh, you just need Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is wonderful, but depression is still real. Jesus is wonderful, but anxiety is still real. This stress that we go through in our body that almost kills us is also real. But we do have to learn how to take it to Him, and we do have to learn how to process it and process it in a healthy way and as early in life as possible. You see, my body done got too old. I can't be holding on to this. I'm trying to be free. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
free so I can be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way to be healthy, because you hold on to this, it kills you. And it almost killed me. But I don't want it anymore. And I'm not trying to dump it on anybody. Like, that's not the reason that I'm doing these lives, is to just dump my garbage on anybody else. I'm putting it out there in an attempt to help somebody else, to help another adult that's going through. Say, you know what? If those ladies on that live, same as when we're on the live with Chandra, if those ladies on that live can go and push through and they found hope, there's hope for me too. If
Mm-hmm.
they can do it, I can do it. You agree?
Yep, I agree. And I was gonna say I absolutely agree with Miss Janice about um you have to learn to recognize depression comes in all forms. It's not always just sitting in a dark room crying. I believe my depression came where I would stay in the bed all day, you know, and I didn't even realize that I was going through a form of depression. But um it would it would cause me not to want to socialize. I wouldn't answer my phone. I didn't want to be around people. And so I had to, that's why I was telling you, Celena, now it bothers me not to get up and do something, because I don't want to fall back into that depression. I don't like being in the bed. I don't like having that free time. You know how they say, out of mind is the devil's, workshop, and I don't want my mind to be so quiet to where, sometimes you can be so quiet you can't hear, you too quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So I just try to keep myself busy and um try to not fall back into that sense of depression, because it's not fun and it's not easy to change what you're going through, especially when you don't have an outlet. Now you have somebody, you have books, you have motivational readings, and different things that you can do to get into a place of peace and calmness. So I appreciate you let me sit in tonight. It's a good topic. Yeah, just being close to God, and being, like you said, when we first started reading, for the ones that wasn't here, the verse that stood out, the part that stood out to me was, "There's no safer place to find myself in is in his heart," and that's a place of refuge, a place of safety. So it's always good to know where you can go to be
Mm-hmm.
safe.
Mm-hmm. And I have to agree, people, and busyness is not always good. As long as you're being productive, that's
Mhm.
great. A lot of times I'm so busy doing stuff, like I'm literally all over the place, and it's probably for the exact same reason. And I shouldn't say I never thought about it, but just hearing you say it just really brings it to the forefront for me, because I knew that I'm always finding something to do. Y'all know now I'm a life coach, I'm a motivational speaker. I sell Mary Kay. I answer the phone for live ops, so I'm customer service. I'm an HR specialist. I don't even know. I got so many hats. I'm a
Yeah.
soccer mom. Like, I'm a soccer
Yeah.
mom, but it keeps me busy, but maybe not a healthy busy, because that also produces stress, because you're like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do this. Oh, I forgot to do this. And so your mind is constantly going. So that's why y'all saw I posted that I got a new planner, because I now need to plan my life, like block it out. And so I said, no
Mhm.
matter what time I go to bed, I'm getting up. I'm starting at 5 o'clock, and then I'm gonna back it up to 4 o'clock, because it used to be 4 o'clock, but now I go to bed so late that 4 o'clock is too early. I hadn't had any sleep, so I'm like, I'm gonna get up at 5 o'clock, no matter what time I go to sleep, just so I can get up and do certain things before I have to
Mhm.
be to work for 6 o'clock. And then it's from 6 to 2:30. Now 10:30. I mean, 10-hour days. So that makes an even longer day. And I'm trying to be the honorary employee on Big Books and for a financial. So now that's a new hat, but I'm excited to do these things. It keeps me busy, and it keeps me from the depression, because I don't have time to be depressed.
Mm-mm.
I don't
Mm.
have time. So let's see. I'm so glad that I helped your daughter. You gave my daughter strength to speak to the world when she was blamed by the abuser's family. They will blame you. The
Mm.
abuser will blame you, and the family will blame you.
Mhm.
I have to, because I would be in prison with my mindset. I have to let go and let God handle those people. That's right. And when I say not in silence, I don't mean going after them. Yes, you need to go to God for your own peace. But after you have gained that peace, then it's time to speak up.
Eh,
It's time to do, like, it now they're doing the campaign, the federal campaign, where you can volunteer to your favorite cause. And
mhm.
so not only do they take monetary contributions, they also let you volunteer. So I'm like, I'm going to go and try and volunteer at some shelters or something, because that's the only way that we can just really start reaching out to people.
Mm.
Otherwise, you won't know. Like, do you see the people in the store? You don't know that they're being abused.
Mm.
You have to put yourself where they are so that you can help them and tell them, I know what you're going through. I've been there, and I got that t shirt. So, And they're more likely to open up if they know that you have walked in those shoes before. Abusers don't care how they destroy others' life because they themselves once have been a victim and all they know is pain, so they want to cause pain on others. Yeah, I just don't have that much sympathy for them. I understand that, but uh, I
That's
don't. At the same time, I don't.
I don't think that's the answer. I feel bad for people that have been abused that didn't get help, but when they become the abuser, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like, say for instance, Celena, you didn't choose to take the route that you did and you became the abuser. If you were abused and then you abused, you became an abuser, then what does that person have any do people have any sympathy for that person because they became an abuser due to not having an escape route or they didn't have help? I'm asking because I've never like been with I've been physically abused and verbally as far as relationship wise. Never as a child by an adult, that I may have been placed in the care of. But what is it? Things some things are learned behavior, some things can be perverted, some things can be they can be choices. So what is it about a person that has become an abuser because they were abused too? Do is you know what I'm saying? It's because that person, that was their reason of being abuser. So what is it? Is it any not sympathy, but how can that person get help? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Do you see that that person can get the help that they need to recognize why they're doing what they're doing? Not making excuses for anybody, but that person was once a child. That person was once violated. Not saying it's an excuse, but it was just a thought, that I was thinking. That's all.
Yeah, oh no, because I'm telling you, since coming forth with this, I've gotten a lot of feedback, and
Mm-hmm.
I've had, the person that was abused become the abuser,
Mm-hmm.
and because they did not know any other behavior. It
Mm-hmm.
started very young, and so it was reoccurring. So it wasn't like just one time. This is one of these situations where the opportunist took advantage of the opportunity, right there in the house, and here you go. And so that person became the abuser, but they were a child too, and then they started early before they become an adult because they didn't know any better. They thought this is
Mm-hmm.
what
But it's
normal
supposed
people do. So when I say I don't really show any sympathy, I mean, it's just like,
it's
because I
hard.
know I didn't make that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this mouth was probably more abusive to my children. If I could say that, when I talk to them, they say they weren't. And it's like, Mama, what are you talking about? But it's just I wasn't that television mom,
Mm-hmm.
that you want to be cooking
But
the cookie, baking the cookies, you're
yeah.
baking cookies and you're doing this and you, oh, hey, honey, how you doing? My nerves was bad. My patience was short because I had all this stuff on the inside of me that I did not know how to deal with. And so when you don't know how to channel that extra negative energy, it just comes out. And so most people feel like, oh, you're probably over exaggerating. And maybe to some degree I am sometimes. Because even after I fuss, I'm like, boy, come give me a hug. And they're like, oh, Lord, she's just cuckoo crazy. But even after whatever I say, I want you to know that I love you and that I would never hurt you. And that's what abusers don't do. They don't quickly apologize and ask for your forgiveness. And it's because I don't want to ruin my relationship, because I really would be angry at my abusers. Like they've already damaged it.
Me, yeah.
And, you know, And I've allowed it because I did not know, just like the abuser, I didn't know how to deal with it, so it's just a process. Let's see what we're saying over here. Jesus is on the main line, and he places the right people in our lives to help us deal with things that keep us bound. It's the very reason I became a life coach. Me too, because you know what? Life coach was not even, I'm like, what is that? And this has been a few years ago now, but I didn't have a clue what a life coach was. But, I think that it'll be a good place for me to help others being a life coach after realizing, girl, you got a lot to offer. You have a lot to bring to the table. Don't you sit there and sell yourself short thinking that you're damaged goods and nobody will want you, because you have value. And what do you call us? Queens. We are I'm the queen, Tamara the queen,
Mhm.
and we deserve the best. We
Yes,
going to have the best too.
I received that.
Me too, girl. I have great expectations for my future. My
Mm.
depression makes me anger and not want to deal with people. I know. That's me and Tamara, saved by Grace Abram. I have to stay busy and stay focused. Yes, Sister Tamara, and it's so sad because depression is oftentimes dismissed in our culture. So a lot of people never learn that there is help available.
Hmm.
hmm I'm still trying to figure out what to do with this social work degree because my feelings get in the way. Because you can't save everybody and you want to. That's why I did not go. I wanted to go be a social worker, but I'm like, what am I going to do with all these children that I snatch out of these homes? There's nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times you put them in the foster care. That's
Hmm.
just like putting them right into the hands of the next group of people. Not all. So I'm not saying that, I don't want anything to be misunderstood. And I'm not a therapist and I'm not a counselor. We're just here sharing our own personal experiences. So that's my disclaimer that, you can go to a therapist or a counselor for certain things. There's a spectrum that life coaches deal with, and then there comes a point sometimes that you have to be referred to a counselor or something like that. Let's see. Everyone don't think like that. Like what, Poochie? I missed the comment when you put it. So what are you referring to? Everybody don't think like that.
I think she was talking about when I was talking about, the abuser once being abused. Uh, you know, what?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's when she come in at that part.
Okay. Well, this has been an awesome motivational moment. I don't think I've had one to go this long because the boys, they get on here and they get off. By the time
We
somebody commenting, there's
be like, he's gone. You catch it tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I didn't even have a chance. I was trying to hurry up and type and tell him he did a good job. I was trying to get right before he got off, and I was like, let me hurry up and press before he's gone.
girl,
Yeah,
they be on here and off. Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow. I know they like, how long is she gonna do this? But it's
yeah.
okay. Long as they get on here and read it and
Mhm.
comment, I'm good.
Yeah, you never know what impact what you're doing is playing in their future. Hey, they might
Mm-hmm.
up and be want to be counselors or some kind of advocate, but because what you're doing is breaking the generational curse. Because boys are really protective of their moms, and boys love their moms, and hey, I'm sure you have a very big influence over their future. So hey, you got
Mm-hmm.
nothing about
I got what?
you have nothing to worry about.
Oh, so we're gonna put this last comment up here. Miss Janice said, there is a queen within every woman, but sometimes we get so bogged down with life and life issues that we can't see who God designed us to be. I
Mhm.
thank God for everything that I've gone through to get me to this point in
Amen.
life.
Yeah. Amen.
I do have to be honest. A lot of times I say why. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there saying, "Oh, I'm so thankful that I went through all this." I mean, at this point, I know I wouldn't be who I am today without what I've gone through. I wouldn't have the compassion. I wouldn't have the empathy. I wouldn't have the ear to hear what other people are saying and have that empathy for them if I had not been through. So when y'all say, "Oh, you're so easy to talk to," it's because chances are what you're telling me, I've already been through it. Everybody just don't know it because through this process, I get, "Girl, I never knew that about you." I'm like, "Mm-hmm. Oh, I never knew that about you." And it's different things that people have been around me this entire time and, they didn't know because I carried it. But now I'm able to use it to say, yes, I've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
Because had you ran across me a few years ago and started talking about your abuse, I would have just sat there, listened, nodded my head. You would not have known. You just would have said, "Oh, Celena, I feel better that I talked to you." But I would not have had the courage to say, "Me too." But
Mm-hmm.
now I'll say, as you're talking, I understand because that happened to me too. So, Miss Janice, I will have to say that in the past, I would say why with just tears streaming down my eyes because I know that I'm a good person and I had never hurt anyone. So, why would they hurt me the way that they did and think that it was okay? Why? And so at this point, I can't change it, but I can change going forward how I allow people to treat me. And I can be a voice for someone who is not strong enough at this point to be their own voice so I can help them. And I told y'all that my prayer partner, before she died, because she was probably 90 something when I met her, and I think she died around 93. But she told me immediately when she heard my voice, she said, "Your voice, you're going to use your voice to help people." She
Mm-hmm.
said, "I knew it was anointed when I heard it." Now, when I hear my voice, I don't necessarily hear that, but it's okay. It don't matter what I hear. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just being obedient. And so, oh, she giving me a virtual hug. Whew, girl, I be trying not to ugly cry on up on here, and when I get to talking about some of this stuff, I can't even help it. Love you too, Poochie. Oh, it's definitely been a journey and a learning experience, and it's ongoing. Thank you, Queens, for sharing your experience, wisdom, and love. I love you all back. Thank y'all so much. So we're gonna take those virtual hugs, and we did good, Tamara. Thank you for joining me. I know your cat and your dog ready for you, and and I'm gonna go and pull this stuff off my head and go wash my face, get me some more coffee, and this will be an all nighter for me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I thank you for letting me share your platforms this evening. I enjoyed it.
I so enjoyed you. I promise, had you not been here, this would have been a 3-minute motivational moment.
I'm
But because
sorry.
we
I guess I tend to bring the 4-Race financial freedom over here to 4C.
look, this turned out to be a conversations with Celena, so I don't think I'm gonna have one on Saturday. This
They gonna
might be it,
they gonna tell
huh?
you no. They gonna say no. You still have to do it.
Oh, girl, I don't know about that. It's the holidays. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining. We had a great time having this discussion. You have a blessed night and you keep it smiling, sunshine. And we will see you tomorrow.